Exactly, that's it. Okay. So I said my name is Nunsi. I'm a Microsoft Learning Student Ambassador and I'm a computer engineering student at the Federal University of Technology, Akure. And basically I went today to teach you how to go from to deploy your applications, whether it's an ML model or any. We have vouchers to give out that will enable you to activate your Microsoft Azure account. And with me here is our distinguished speaker. His name is Victor Akande. He's a seasoned cloud engineer with experience in major cloud platforms, including Microsoft Azure. He has a background in mechatronics engineering. Victor has successfully transitioned into the cloud space, leveraging his skills to deliver innovative solutions. So he's Microsoft certified. He works with different cloud forms in platforms, including like Google Cloud platforms, Huawei Cloud, and all that. With at the beginning of this year, he was also at the Huawei global ICT competition as a prize winner. So we can see that he's very well. So for those of us that don't know Azure, don't have not interacted with it before, that's not a problem too. Victor will be covering that. So please let's welcome him with virtual claps. Let's welcome him.
Um, thank you very much, everyone. Thank you very much, Nancy. Um, as Nancy said, my name is Victor. Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. I'm just trying to stop
Okay.
Yes, we
sharing
can
my
hear you.
screen.
All right. Okay, sorry. Like Nancy said, my name is Victor Akande, and I am a cloud engineer. And today we'll be talking about how to get your code from your local PC, right, to the cloud, where everybody will be able to see it and be able to make use of what you've deployed. Um, there are multiple cloud providers that you can use, but for today we'll be using Microsoft Azure. A little bit about Microsoft Azure. Microsoft Azure is Microsoft's cloud platform, right? So, and they have a lot of services, about 200 plus services for different use cases, AI, ML, storage, compute, networking, just a variety of things that you can do on Microsoft Azure. But today, we will mostly be talking about hosting our code on Microsoft Azure. So, hosting your code on Microsoft Azure, you have quite a few options. I will just share this mini infographic that I have created. Give me a moment, please. Okay. Share this window. Share. Right. Please can you confirm if you can see my screen? Okay, I just want to confirm what is showing on my screen. Sorry.
Seems currently.
Teams. Oh, that's the wrong screen then. Okay, sorry. Let me stop sharing that and instead share this. Okay. Um, okay, how about now? It
Yes, we
should
are
be
seeing it
a
now. We saw
Chrome
it just
tab.
now. It's showing.
All right.
Yeah,
Right.
it's showing now.
All right. So all right, thank you very much, sir. So you've built your application, right, with whatever language you normally use, Python, JavaScript, C Sharp, Golang, Java, whatever, right? But it is currently on your system, just like this simple web application that I've just built, right? It's currently on my system. anyone on this call will not be able to access this, and I would very much like you guys to be able to access it at least after the call in case you ever need to make reference to it, right? So we need to figure out how we will deploy it and put it on the cloud so that it's accessible by everyone. But first of all, let's take a look at our options, right? So for deploying, right, we first have Azure App Service. So Azure App Service is what we call a platform as a service offering. So all you need to do is write your code and then manage your data. When you deploy it to the cloud, you're managing your code and you're managing your data. You don't need to worry so much about the infrastructure, that's the servers that you're going to host it on or deploy it on and all that, right? Azure will take care of that for you. You just need to worry about your code and where your data is stored. So here I have a illustration, right? It says, imagine a luxury resort where everything is handled for you. You just show up with your luggage, your code, and then the resort staff, Azure, take care of the rest. That's practically what Azure App Service is about. So here we have the pros and the cons, because obviously everything has to have its advantages and its disadvantages, right? So like I said, Azure App Service, right? Azure takes care of most of the burdens for you. All you need to do is come along with your code and then a few minor configurations, right? And then your application will be online and everybody will be able to use it. And it supports a variety of languages such as .NET, which is C Sharp, Node.js, which is JavaScript, Python, Java, and PHP, right? And then talking about scale, because when you're hosting your applications on the cloud, right, it's accessible to everyone on the internet, right? So if you are deploying an application that is maybe resource intensive, say something like an e-commerce application or a machine learning application that a lot of people find interesting, so you're deploying something like DeepSeek, right? You would need to make it scalable, right? You need to make it in such a way that it will be able to handle the request of 1,000 people, 10,000 people, 100,000 people at once, right? And with Azure App Service, you don't need to um, configure all those things manually. You can configure them on the Azure portal, right? The scale up, which is increasing in size, and scale down so that when there's not much traffic, so maybe people don't you notice that people don't use your application during the night time, you can scale down so as to be able to save cost, right? And then it comes in with built-in features like security, automatic update, and easy deployment from GitHub. GitHub is a source control platform, and during the demo, we might use it to make a few deployments to Microsoft Azure. Then the cons, it is a bit pricey, obviously, because Azure is going to take care of most of the things for you. That comes at a slight cost, but not super costly. And then because again, also Azure takes care of most of the things for you, you don't have as much control over the servers and some other granular control that is necessary. But for most people, they don't need this control. It's just maybe people like the infrastructure engineers or the cloud engineers that might need to have this kind of fine-grained access control. But you as an application developer, you might not need to worry about all those kind of um, granular control, right? So that is Azure App Service. Next, we have Azure Functions. So Azure Functions are what we call a serverless offering, right? So what happens is that you have your code and your code runs based on events. So let's say, I don't know if anyone has used a PDF converter, something like small PDF, right? Smallpdf.com, right? You could implement
Yes.
smallpdf.com using, okay, sorry, was someone saying something? I didn't get that.
Answering
Okay.
yes to use of smallpdf.com.
Okay, thank you, sir. So, if you have a site like smallpdf.com, right, you wouldn't need to have your servers running up all the time. You would only need your servers to run when someone wants to maybe compress, convert, merge, or edit a PDF. So let's say I want to convert a PDF. So now, what Azure Functions will do is that it would keep your code um, in what we call an Azure function, right? Then you would set up what are called triggers, right? Things that will actions that will be performed um, when a certain action happens, right? So now a sort of trigger would be when a user uploads a file, right? When a user uploads a file, run this code. So if I choose a file, right? Let me see. Okay. I choose a file. Now I've uploaded that file. What would happen in the background if we're using Azure Functions is that as soon as the upload completes, it would create a trigger and the trigger would run an action. So that action would be what would convert my PDF to Word or whatever. So that is what Azure Functions are. As long as there is no trigger, it won't run. So that makes it cost effective because when your functions are not running, you are not paying for anything, right? You only pay for when your function runs. So that's part of, okay, it's written in the pros. It's super cost effective. You only pay for when your code runs. Then it's event driven. Basically, that's what I was trying to explain. So events are, okay, like now the file upload, I said with a PDF, small PDF would be an event, right? The file upload is an event, right? And then it's now trigger the code that will run in the background to convert your PDF to Word or to Excel or to whatever. Then it scales automatically, right? Because now it only runs when there's a request, when there's an event, right? So when a lot of events come in at once, it's going to be able to handle its scaling by itself, right? You won't need to really do much, right? Once you have it configured properly, it's going to scale by itself. Then we have the cons, right? Cold starts. Now, because um, your code is not always running, right? You're waiting for an event, which is going to call a trigger, which means that there's going to be something like a little bit of downtime, right? Before your event first of all runs, especially the first time. When you're running the first event, you experience a slight delay. So maybe a delay of like 2-3 minutes because it will need to, you know, in the background, start up the server and do all those configurations, right? So that's what cold start is about. Then not always on. So like there are some applications that you need to have always on. So like critical applications, right? There are some applications where you cannot use Azure Functions for. It is not an ideal situation. So maybe something that is um very critical, right? In your organization, you will not be able to use Azure Functions for it. So Azure Functions are good for stuff like batch jobs. So maybe you're running a batch upload, right? Batch processing. You're trying to do batch processing, right? You're running a batch upload, and that is going to process the files one after another. So Azure Functions can handle that effectively. Then we have Azure Container Apps, right? I don't know if we have any developers on the call, maybe web developers, application developers on the call. If there are, please can you just unmute and say hi?
Hi.
Nice.
Hi.
Oh, nice, nice, nice. We have two people. Sorry, please, those two people, can you just tell me your names?
So from here, my name is Abayomi Joshua.
Okay, Abayomi Joshua and the other person,
Yeah, my name is Steven Samuel, front end.
Steven, Steven Samuel, front end. Abayomi and Steven, have you guys heard about Docker?
Not at all.
Yes.
Okay. One person said not at all, one person said yes. Do you want to give us like an overview of what Docker is? Just very simple, your very simple understanding of what Docker is.
Okay. So basically Docker is a containerization platform that enables developers to package their applications into containers. So these containers are like lightweight and portable, allowing developers to deploy applications with consistency across different environments.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you very much. That is exactly right. That is exactly right. So, Docker is what we call a containerization platform, right? So, what it does is that it takes your code and everything you need to run your code, it bundles it together and stores it as a container image so that your code can run anywhere and everywhere. So for those of us that use Docker or other containerization platforms, Azure Container Apps is for you, right? So we have Azure Container Apps, we have Azure Container Instances as well, right? Azure Container Instances are like short form, right? If you just want to run something that is not going to take long, right? You can use Azure Container Instances. But Azure Container Apps are for more large scale applications, right? So what it does, okay, let me just read this analogy here. It says a pop-up restaurant is a cool middle ground. You get to design your own menu and kitchen, right? But you don't have to build the whole restaurant from scratch. So basically what containerization is, like I explained, you have your code and you package everything needed to run your code into a what is called an image, and that image can run anywhere on any system, whether you're using Mac OS, whether you're using Linux, whether you're using Windows, runs smoothly and perfectly on any system. So now, the pros of container apps. Container apps is what you would use to deploy your containerized applications, right? You can also use Azure Kubernetes services. That's if you are handling Kubernetes and other clusters, but I feel that's a bit too advanced for this call, right? So container apps, like I said, they are container powered. You package your app and its dependencies into a container and you'll be able to run it from container apps. And they are serverless as well, just like Azure Functions. They are like the serverless version of Azure Functions. Azure Functions, you just write the code and then you deploy. Azure Container Apps, you write the code, containerize it, and then you deploy. And then they are great for microservices, right? For those who are into microservices, you understand what that means. Um, then cons, it's a bit of a learning curve. Yes, this is ideally not for beginners, right? If you have not done containerization before, you are going to struggle a bit if you're using container apps. So lastly, we have Azure Static Web Apps. So now if you have maybe a simple web page or application like the one right now that I'm using to explain all this to us, and you don't need it to do much. It's maybe just an information page, just like this current one, right? You can deploy it to Azure Static Web Apps. So now if you have any complex functionality, this will not work for you. This is just for very simple, maybe you have a landing page or you have like an information page, right? Like what we're using, right? So it is super fast because it is static content, right? It's content that is not changing, right? And then it's super affordable. I think there is there's a free tier, right? There's a free tier, which is what I've always been using, at least with my Azure for Students account, right? There's a free tier for personal projects, especially if you don't need a custom domain or anything. Then you can integrate it with other Azure services such as Azure Functions. And there's also what we call CI/CD. Does anyone on the call know what CI/CD is? Anyone? Okay.
Hi.
We might take.
Yeah, we can.
Okay. Okay. Can someone just like volunteer to just explain what you understand by CI/CD?
Okay. For me, what I understand by CI/CD, it stands for continuous integration and continuous deployment. So it's a way for you to keep your app afloat while still making updates and making changes to it. That's continuous deployment. So you can keep integrating and making changes without breaking, or while your app is still running on the server.
Yes, thank you very much. That is a perfect explanation of CI/CD. So CI/CD, continuous integration, continuous development, right? It is when you have we automate the process of releasing new features or fixing our applications, right? You have your code, right? Your app is running already. It is already online for everyone to use. And let's say you need to fix a particular issue that people are having, or you need to introduce a new feature, right? It's a framework that is used to handle all these things, and it's used for the automation of these processes. So instead of manually running your deployments, right? You have a script that will automatically run and push your deployments once you have everything set up, right? So if we're going to do a few things, right? We are going to deploy at least two applications to Microsoft Azure. We're going to use at least two of these services. So let's move on with that. Maybe first of all, we'll deploy this site, this current site, because this site right now is hosted on, it's not even hosted, it's just a HTML file on my PC, right? And we need to push it online so that everyone on this call will be able to have it. Hopefully, once we push it online, I'll drop the link and everyone will be able to view it. All right, so let's go through that. I think I might need to switch my screen. Sorry, just give me a moment. Right, let me share this. Okay, is everyone seeing my screen? It should be a Chrome profile on GitHub. Is anyone seeing it? All right, thank you. So what we're going to do is we are going to create a repository. I want us to deploy that static site first, and so that everyone on the call will be able to have access to it. So what we're going to do, we're going to do this. We're going to deploy the site. I'm also going to integrate CI/CD so that you can see how CI/CD works for those people that don't understand. So what I'm trying to do right now is to create a repository. So a repository is where I'll store the code, right? So I'm going to call this code to cloud. Let me see. Right, so that is the name of my repository and it's public, so that means it's accessible to anyone on the internet. So once I create repository, okay, so what I'll do is I'll show you guys where the application is, not the application, the static site is, right? So this is it. I'm just opening it from my PC. Right, this is the static site, and we are going to be putting this online in a few minutes. Right, so I have my repository. I think I might need to share my whole screen. Okay, I have my repository. So what I'll need to do is I'll need to, okay, you know what? Let me just upload it. Let's not go through that whole process. So I already have the code for the file here. Let me show you guys. Just going to share this window.
Pardon, please, sir. Can you repeat the link that you are working on, sir? URL.
For the repository or for the web page? Which one?
So I mean the site. I missed that. The site. I can't see it clearly
Okay,
from
the
here.
name
So
of the site where I'm storing the code.
huh? Yes, exactly. Yes.
Sorry, yeah, yeah. Okay, okay. The name of site is GitHub. GitHub is what we call a source control. Okay. Let me upload the file. Okay, this is it. Index.html. Okay, so once I do this, all right, so now we have the code on GitHub, right? Now, all you see when I open this file is just the code. You won't be able to see the whole, how the web page looks and everything, right? But we're going to fix that because we're going to deploy it. So this is the code. It's about 363 lines of code. All right, so now we will log into Azure and we're going to deploy this, right? So do that by going to portal.azure.com. I think I should zoom in a bit. Obviously, you would have to have an account with Microsoft Azure first to be able to do anything, right? But I believe Nancy said she's giving out vouchers, so pretty sure with that you'll be able to test out a few services on Microsoft Azure, right? So just wait for it to load. Right, so this is the portal. Okay. There are a few basic concepts that we could go over, such as resource groups and all that, but we won't really go into those, right? We just need to deploy our app. So what we're looking for is static web apps, right? That's the name of the service on That's the name of the service on Microsoft Azure, right? Static web apps. So we can, once we click create, we can also do this through code. So with what we call the Azure CLI, Azure Command Line Interface. But for more, to
Hello,
make
sir.
this more, okay, yes,
Hello.
good evening.
Sorry for the interruption. Please,
Please go ahead.
are we going to get access to the recorded section of this class?
I think that would be a question for Nunsi.
Yes,
Nunsi,
yes, the class is being recorded and you get it.
All right, thank you, ma'am.
And the slides too, ma. The slides.
all right, sorry. So what we need is, okay, we have a subscription already, right? This is Azure for Students on my own account. Then we have what is called a resource group. Now, a resource group basically is like a folder for everything that your app is going to contain, right? If your app is going to contain storage in Microsoft Azure, you would put it there. If it's going to contain database or whatever things, you would put everything together in a resource group. It's basically just for organization, right? To keep your stuffs organized. So what I'm just going to do, I'm going to call this code to cloud -rg. RG is just a typical naming convention, resource group, right? So once I do that, it's going to create the resource group. Right, so now we're going to need a name for our resource group. Again, I'll just call it code to cloud or yeah, let's call it code to cloud. So now, this name that we're supplying here has to be globally unique. So that means someone else mustn't have that name. So that's what it was doing, right? And it gave us this green check, meaning that nobody else has that name. So for now, we'll be using free. Like I said, there's a free tier. As long as you're not doing anything super intensive, right? We can use the free tier. Now, we have the deployment details where our code is stored, right? And I said for this, we're using GitHub, right? So this is where our code is in this repository. So we would link that in the next step, all right? So now this is my GitHub account. Normally you'd need to sign in, but I'm already signed into my GitHub, right? So if you're trying this by yourself, you need to sign in, you need to enter your GitHub username and password, and then authenticate, and then you'll be able to see this, right? So now all these details are within my GitHub account. So I have the organization, which is me. Then it's going to scan through and look for the repository. So the name of the repository is Code to Cloud MSA. That's what we called it right here, right? Code to Cloud MSA. So that's the repository. And then the branch is main. It's written here as well, main, right? So we have that main. All right, so it's going to try to detect whatever it sees in the repository. For now, we just need to leave all these as their default, right? The app is located in the root directory. I don't have any folders inside this repository, so we can just leave it as that. If I had a folder and I store the app in a folder, I would need to put the name of the folder. So it would be something like /app or whatever. But since I don't have any folders, I just have the file in the directory, in the repository as it is. We're leaving that blank. Right, so then we go to, okay, deployment configuration. So authentication policy is going to, you can leave all these settings as default, right? Deployment token, these are more advanced topics that we don't really need to know for now, right? And then we have advanced. Again, also, you can leave all these as default. They are more advanced topics than this session will cover. Now, tags are also a way of organizing your resources, right? Maybe all the resources on this belong to a particular project. So these are a few of the tags that I've used. I've used env, I've used infra, and I've used project. It's just for resource organization, right? So that you know where each you know all the resources under this particular tag, right? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use the project tag as the name of the tag, and I'm going to give it the code to cloud. Let's maintain uniformity everywhere. That's cloud. Code to cloud. PRJ project. Right. So once we've done everything, we'll just click on review and create. So what it's going to do is that it's going to make sure that all our configurations are okay, right? It's going to go in the background and it's going to make sure that every single thing that we've configured is okay. And that's why it is running the validation. Once everything is okay, it's going to tell us validation passed, and then we'll be able to deploy our application to the cloud. So we'll just give it a few minutes. All right, so it says deployment failed because of policy violation. So let's see. Go to cloud. You can create resources in the following regions only. Okay, so my account has a restriction to where I can create resources, so I'll need to change that. So I think that would be under deployment configuration. Oh, it's advanced. Okay. Oh, this. Stage details, posterior. Okay. Let's try that again. Still policy violation. Code cloud was disallowed by policy. Price allowed disallowed by policy. Reason open up regions. And if you need to visit this. Okay, I think these are due to restrictions on my account. Let me see if I can still change it. Okay, let me see. Switzerland. Try waste years. Functional double standard. Okay, striking. Still. Okay. Incoming. Let me just check this out. Resource code cloud cost this help because code request this help because it was your assignment. You can create resource regions only. And those, okay, France, Italy, Germany, Switzerland, Spain. Those regions are not listed here. All right, so we are facing an error due to a restriction on my account. Let me see if I can fix that. If it's going to take time, we'll just have to move on to something else. Okay, let me try this resource group. Let me try using a different resource group. Okay, let's try this again. Yep, still the same thing. All right. While I'm trying to fix this, maybe we'll just move on to deploying the Azure App Service. Enterprise grade edge requires standard hosting plan. Okay, if I change this to standard, don't you mean application or specification, dependent application limits? I think this is where my issue is. This region, I'm not allowed to deploy into any of these regions here. So I can only deploy to Switzerland and a few other regions. But I will fix that and try to get that working. Maybe let me use my other account. Wait, did that work? Okay, you know what? Let me use my other Azure account. So let's give me a moment. What's all the Azure account? So shit is really to okay, so while that is coming up, let me create the repository here too. Okay. Sorry about that. Let me just is it tree? What's it called? Hmm. So I'm just going to repeat the whole process I did of creating the repository and then log into the portal and then deploy. Okay. Code to cloud. Okay. Make it public. Okay, so we are going to upload Let me see. Start taking the next HTML. Okay, so upload that. Okay. Okay. Sorry, my browser is loading. Okay, there we go. Can cancel that. Commit. Okay, that has committed. Let me see if no, it's not this Azure account as well. Let me share this one instead. Okay. All right. Uh, Sorry, that Azure account I was using has a few restrictions. As you can see, I have a few static web apps already hosted on this account, so we'll just create another one. So let's go to create, repeat the same process. All right, so we'll need to create, okay, let's just use an existing resource group, and we're going to call it code to cloud. Right, okay, so we can use the free hosting. It's going to come from my GitHub account, and this is the GitHub account that it's coming from. So obviously, this is my organization. Then it's going to load the repository. Okay. Just call it code to cloud. Then the main, okay. So far that's good to go. These are just the settings we configured before. Deployment configuration, we're good with deployment token, advanced. I hope this works. Tags, I said these are optional, but for organization, we can just put it. Projects, we'll call this code to cloud. Okay, so if you review and create, let's see. All right. All right, so looks like this one worked. So once we're good, we'll click create, and you can see that it has started initializing the deployment. So in a few minutes, 1 or 2 minutes, everyone on this call will be able to access that file. Where is it? Let me open it again. Okay. Sorry, the previous Azure account I was using had a few restrictions on it. So that's why we had that issue the first time. But this one is it's a different account, so we're fine. Let me just open the site again on my PC. Then once the static app has been deployed, we'll be able to see it. Okay, so as you can see, it says deployment in progress. All right, so deploy succeed. So if we go to resource, okay, so we have our static web app. It's called Code to Cloud, and we have the URL. So if I copy this and open a new tab, I paste this. It's a moment. Okay. Okay. The deployment is still running in the background. Let me see. Wait, if I go to my GitHub, I should be able to see when it finished running. So I'll just show that to you. Let me change the screen. All right, okay, I think it has finished. So on my GitHub account, what it's going to do is that it's going to look for this repository and it's going to create what we call a CI/CD pipeline that will automatically deploy any code in this repository to the static web app. So if we go to actions, we'll see that, okay, CI, one workflow run, and it has ticked it. So that means the site should be online now. So if we go to the site, right, we see that the site is now up online. I will paste it in the chat so that everyone will be able to confirm that they can view it. Let's paste the chat. Okay, chat. Nunsi, I don't think I'm able to access the chat.
Okay. Seriously.
Yeah.
I'm
Or you
coming.
know
Let
what?
me
Let
check
me
that out
see.
now.
I'll send it to you so that you can paste it in the chat.
Okay. Yes, I think it's only allowing people in my
Yeah.
organization. And I
I've
did
sent
set
it
it
to you so that you
down.
can paste in the chat so that everyone will be able to visit the site. It's quite small here, so I can't really. I'm typing it's a bit long.
Okay, please can we all access the chat?
But
Let me see.
I'm
the
already,
chatbot is not available.
my God. Sorry, I believe
I don't.
that's a setting from my side. Wow. But I've viewed the site and it's working well. Um, maybe you could help us zoom in so that we could see the site, the link.
Okay,
And I'll also
the
send
link,
via
right?
mail to all of
Okay,
us.
let me create a Google Doc
I'm just
because I
about the
can't really
chat.
zoom in on the put this in Google Docs. Okay. Not documents. Okay, so paste. Oh, I don't need you to paste the link. Okay. If you want to copy it out and do it yourself, okay, I think this is big enough. This is the URL. Right, so if you click on it, copy and you paste, it's online. You'll be able to use it anytime, anywhere, as long as it has been deployed. So that was the last one, Azure Static Web Apps. Like we saw, right, in the repository, it was just one code file. It was just a one code file, an index, a HTML file with a bit of CSS and JavaScript, right? So this is just for anything very basic, right? Anything very basic, just can see some HTML, little bit of JavaScript, and a little bit of CSS as well, right? So this is just for basic web apps, right? Basic web apps. So that is Azure Static Web Apps. Remember, you can only use it for static content. Anything that doesn't really need a server to run, right? You can run that on static web apps. So now we want to demo using Azure App Service, right? So like I said, Azure App Service, all you need to do is again, you just need to deploy your code, and then Azure will manage the infrastructure and everything else for you, right? So we're going to be to demo this, we're going to be deploying a very simple. Okay, yes, I wanted to demonstrate CI/CD for us. right? So okay, we have this website, right? I want to change something very obvious. I'll change this heading, right? I'll change this heading, right? In the code on GitHub. Let me find it. I'll change it to say CI/CD. And you see that without me doing anything, just making the change right here, it's going to, let me see. What does it say? So you built a web app, now what? Okay. So you built a web app, now what? It does it here. Right, so we are going to change this. We can change it back once we're done with this demo. Right, we're going to change this to say CI/CD in action. Right, so once I commit this change, so that basically means save this change, right? Once I commit it, right, and we go back to the repo, right, you see that this orange icon this orange icon appears, right, and it says pending. So if we go to actions, we'll see that it is running this what we call workflow, right? And it is going through all the process by itself, right, of building and deploying that static site, right? And once it's done, we'll see that this part that says, so you've built a web application, now what, should change to CI/CD in action. So let's give it a minute to deploy. All right, so it is deploying. Okay. Okay, so now it says succeeded. So that means if we go back and refresh this page, see, it changed CI/CD in action. And we didn't need to go back to Azure. We didn't even go back to Azure. Everything we did was in GitHub. So that's basically what CI/CD is about, right? You push changes to your applications without needing to bring down the application. Do we understand? I should change this back.
Please, we can respond.
We are following Nunsi.
Yeah,
We can
so
only
We
follow
are
yeah,
now.
following
For
you.
those of us
Yes.
that are new to
We are
this, we
with
will
you.
be
Oh.
try to understand later. When you
We can
send the
only
video
try
All
to
right.
later.
us.
We can't do it now.
Yeah, definitely. So okay, I see a raised hand. Please go ahead. I think someone was raising their hand. Okay, maybe it was a mistake. All right, so before we quickly go, I think I want to try to demo Azure App Service to us. Let me just take this back to what it was before. Okay, I see Olayinka, I think your hand is raised, sorry.
Yes, I think it's a quick one for Nunsi. She promised sharing the presentation and the slides with us. Where would we be getting this? I am not aware there is any platform. Most of us just got this via the link that was shared. There is no created platform for us. So where
Yes,
do you hope
sir.
to get the recordings?
Sir, did you register? Did you fill a Microsoft form?
Yes, I did. Yes.
Yes,
Okay,
then you
via the
get
email.
it as soon as you.
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
exactly.
Okay, yeah. It's okay. Thanks. Yeah.
All right, sir. Okay,
Okay,
thank you
so
very much, sir.
what if we don't fill the form?
Hello,
Okay.
hello. Please, I
Yes.
have not filled any learning form yet. I just saw the
Okay,
link
that's not
on
a
the group.
problem. Okay, that's not a problem either. Just the person that sent you, whoever sent the message to the link, just DM the person. That should be me.
All right.
Just send me a message. I'll take care of that.
All right.
So please
Okay. So,
continue.
all right. Thank you very much. So, our last demo for today would be deploying a Python app to Azure App Service. So let me just share my Visual Studio Code. I have a very simple Python app. Let me just get it open. Just 1 minute. Just in case. Okay. Okay, sorry, I'm not sharing my screen. Right, so I have this very simple Python app. Right, it doesn't do much. Let me just run it. I'm gonna see if I can zoom in because this is quite small. View. Appearance. Appearance. All right, so I have a very simple Python app here, right? And I will, okay, I think you guys can see that. Let me run it locally so that you can see how it runs on my own PC. Okay, let me just see the version demo. Okay, it's the environment. So right now, this Python app is just on my PC. It's not online. Nobody can make use of it, right? So what we will do is that we will deploy this to Azure App Service, right? And you'll be able, basically, what the code is just a very simple template code, right? It's a Flask API that basically says hello, right? It says hello. It has a little bit of HTML so that you'll be able to interact with it from a web page. All right, so just give me a moment while I try to run this on my terminal. Okay, maybe I should use git bash instead. Terminal, git bash. cd Python. So, okay, for those of us that use Python, what this first line of code does is that it creates what we call a virtual environment that I can run my code in. So that whatever I do in that environment does not affect the Python that is installed on my PC. So I think this is activate. Sorry. Right, so now I have my virtual environment. So right, if I run Flask, I think it's Flask run. Oh, sorry. I need to install the dependency. So pip install -r requirements.txt. This will install all the dependencies that are needed to run my application. So we have what we call a dependency file, which in Python is it's called requirements.txt. So this command just makes sure that it installs all the dependencies required to run this code into the virtual environments that I've created. So that will take about a minute or two. We'll just give it 1 sec, okay? All right. Right, so now the dependency has been installed and I can now run flax run. So what this will do is that to create a it will like basically host this application on my PC so that I'll be able to run it. So now this is the address that it's running on my PC. As you can see, 192.1.19, no, 127.0.0.1 with the port number 5000. Right, this is running on my PC. So if I click this, okay, obviously I'll need to share this again. Right, so this is it hosted on my PC. As you can see, this is a local address, right? So what it does is just it's going to ask for my name, so I'm going to say Victor Akande, and then it's going to return this, right? Now, if we had done this on created this on a hosted app, we wouldn't have been able to do this because now we have API calls and other functionalities, right? So now we're going to try to deploy this to Microsoft Azure, right? So there are two ways we can go about this. We can deploy it using the command line, or we can deploy it using the portal. Right? The command line is just you just use commands, right? You just type in commands right in your Visual Studio Code without leaving your Visual Studio Code. Let me switch back. Okay, so you can run the deployment directly from here in Visual Studio Code without leaving here, and you push it to Microsoft Azure, and your application will be available for everyone to make use of it. Should we do that, or we should do it from the portal? I need opinions. What do we think? Should we do it from the portal where we'll click around, or we should do it directly from Visual Studio Code?
Directly from Visual Studio Code.
That is fine. We are following.
Okay, we should do it from Visual Studio Code. All right then. So now I'll have to stop this server that is running on my PC. Right, so now in order to be able to deploy this, right, we would need to have logged into Azure from our command line. So normally we'll do that using AZ login, but since I'm already logged in, I'll just run AZ version, and that would show me the version of my Azure CLI. All right, if I run AZ. So now, okay, the AZ is just short for Azure CLI. It's the command that prefixes any subsequent command that you are using with Microsoft Azure. Just like before we ran Python -m VNV, right, to create a virtual environment. Same thing with Microsoft Azure. For the command line is AZ, right? So now, in order to deploy this app, we're going to be using the AZ web app. Right, I saw someone's doing that. We're going to be using the AZ web app up command, right? So that's the command that will deploy this, right? And we need to pass in some what we call parameters, right? So now we need to specify our runtime, right? And we are using Python, so we'll specify that using the dash dash, and then we'll say runtime, and we'll say Python, and then we'll put the version. Sorry, put colon, then the version 13. Sorry, that's 13, not 31. 13.3. Right, so that's the runtime. That's the version. What did I put? I say 13. That's 3.13. Sorry, that's the Python version that is installed on my system. Right, so we have the runtime, which is the then we can optionally provide what is called the resource group. That is not necessary, but we can also optionally provide the location. But since my account has some restrictions, I would have to do that. So Switzerland North, right? That's the location, right? Then we can also provide the Okay, we also need to provide the type of Azure App Service that we're using. Okay, sorry, Olayinka, I think your hand is raised. You have a question.
So
Okay.
it was the last time I had not put it down. I'm sorry.
All right, no problem, sir. So what we need to this command SKU is stock keepers unit. So basically, if you want it to be the free tier or the standard tier or the premium tier, all that is found in the documentation, right? But we will be using the free tier, which is um, named B1, right? So now we've defined our runtime, we've defined our location, and we've defined the version, so the free version. There are other things that we can add to if we want to give it a name, right? So we can give it dash dash, we use the dash dash name, and then we can call this code to cloud. Right. Then if we want to see as it's processing that, we just use dash dash logs. So it will show us the steps that it's running to deploy our app service. Right. So let me just go over all the parameters we passed in. So like I said, the ASV is basically calling Azure CLI, right? And then we have the web app up. This is for the app service, right? This is the um, command for the app service, right? Up means deploy, take it up to the cloud. If we want to bring it down, we use web app down, right? So now we defined our runtime, which is Python 3.13. We have our location, which is Switzerland. Hope I spelled that right. This is not compulsory, but since there are restrictions on that my Azure account, I need to specify it. So we have the location, then we have the um what is called stock keepers unit, which is basically the type, whether you want free, whether you want standard or premium. So I think we're going with free. And then we have our name and then logs. So once we press enter, this should start running. And we can even preview it in the portal as it's running. This might take a while, maybe 3 to 5 minutes. Let's let's wait for it. Okay, so as you can see, it's created the resource group for us, and it has created the app service plan. These are just stuff it needs in the background to be able to run. So now it is at the creating web app code to cloud. Let me zoom in on this. Right, so okay, so as it's doing this um in the command line, it's also doing it in the cloud. Let me see if I can show that side by side. It's Teams. Stop sharing. Okay, Mr. Godswill Amos, I see your hand is raised. You have a question?
Hello, sir.
All right. Good evening.
So sorry for cutting in. I see that like you're using Flask and you're using Guinea corn to
Yes.
ASGI. Like my question is that does Azure support other ASGI servers? Like for example, Unicorn instead. And
Yes, yes, it does.
does it have a specific ASGI server, or like, or just like only Unicorn? Can I use UVCon instead? And must it be
Yes,
my
you
requirement.txt?
no, you can also use UVCon as well. It doesn't have to be Unicorn. It supports
Okay,
the
thank you so
language.
much.
It's not
Thank
really
you.
restricted to yeah, exactly. So now this is our code to cloud that is creating from our VS Code. Right, so it's almost done. If we go back to VS Code again and click on it here, code to cloud. Push this to the side. It's still loading. Okay, so building the app. I'm coming. Is this not loading? Just to show us that as we're running it from the command line, it is also displaying the status right here in the portal. Yes. Okay, so seems like it's done. Latest deployment successful 9 p.m. So let's see if we can take a look at this. SSL loading and check the VS Code again. Check. Starting the site. It has been deployed, but it's just trying to start up the site. Seconds. Still. So both of the apps we deployed today have a front end part, right? You can also deploy apps that don't have a front end, so you can deploy your APIs as well using app service. You can't deploy your APIs using static web apps because like they're just static web apps, just HTML files, right? This is taking quite a while to load. Once you join and deployed. Okay, okay. Now it is functional, right? And this is the URL. Let me paste it in to this, the Google Docs. Right, so if we come to this URL, right here. Paste. We have our application and we test it. Let's say Nunsi. Say hello. And we see that it returns back with what we are expecting. Hello, Nunsi. Right. So that is basically how you can host your Python apps. We did Python, right? This is a Python app. And we also did basic HTML. Remember your static websites, you host them on Azure Static Web Apps, right? As long as they don't have any complex logic or interactions with they don't need any server side, exactly, they don't need any server side running, right? You can use static web apps. They don't have dynamic content, just plain old HTML, CSS, JavaScript, right? Then container apps for developers that like to containerize their solutions, right? Maybe you have an application. We could also do that in this case, containerize, but we do not have the time to go through all that right now. We can containerize this our Python app and then deploy it to container apps as well, right? Then we also have Azure Functions. We could have also deployed this Python app to Azure Functions as well, but like I said, time is of a restriction for this. So what we did was we used app service, the first one, which is what we deployed this to, and we also used static web apps, which is where this site is currently hosted on. So, like I said, depending on your use case, that's when you choose your deployment venue. So app service, functions, container apps. And then for more advanced stuff, you need something like Azure Kubernetes services. And then if you are the kind of person that, okay, you have your own custom application and you have your custom environment, right? You can purchase virtual machines in the cloud where you deploy your own application. But those are for very advanced scenarios way beyond the scope of this tutorial. So I hope we have learned one or two today. Okay. Olayinka, please go ahead.
Wow, thank you so much, sir. That was indeed
Yes,
lovely.
we have learned a lot, but it will take a time for processing, particularly for those of us that are new to this environment. Actually, um, I wouldn't say I really got what I expected, but let me just say this. What we have learned now, is it not more or less like website development? Will I be right to say that? I don't know.
Not really the development, is the deployment. So making
Okay.
it accessible
It's
online. The development would have been teaching you HTML, CSS,
okay.
JavaScript,
Development is
how to
something
write that.
else. It's just deployment. So this is more or
Yes,
less like
deployment.
website deployment, right?
Yes, we could call it that,
Okay.
website deployment.
Okay. Then I want
Just
to ask. I
basically,
want to just suppose.
okay.
Okay. I'm listening.
Not necessarily websites, right? Because the Python app we deployed had an API as well, right? So we can call that a web app, right? So there's a slight
Web
difference
app.
between websites, web apps. Yes.
Okay. So the web app now, can that come on a mobile? Like, can it become a mobile app, something like that?
Yes, you could also deploy a mobile app, but then that would be quite different. You
And
would need to,
you
rewrite
this guys
the
spoil ahead too.
logic for.
Actually, this was expectation. Remember at the beginning, I said that we worked on a rain prediction. We are trying to work on rain prediction model, and we used ANN
Yes, sir.
in, I think in R or Python. I cannot remember. One of our teams did that, and I think it predicted about 91. It had about 91% prediction accuracy. But we felt to
Accuracy.
bring in some other variables that are going to be location specific, like attributes of crops, and also depending on the various locations. So we are trying to input those variables in the app, but on the long run, we would like that the farmers could have something on their phone that they can have access, and then
Okay.
they'll be able to say, okay, is it likely going to rain based on certain features we will have put in the app. So when I had code to cloud, and then I saw something like app in the process. So my mind was like, okay, the code that we had, we could make this get to the cloud, because I remember that what we had was put on GitHub as well. It was put on a repository on GitHub, and yes, and we did not go beyond that. It was a phase of our project. We were hoping for a second tranche funding that we'll be able to now deploy. So, but then I, as a team lead, I didn't bother myself in all of this. I had experts in my team that do all of this, but I tried to understand the basis. But when I saw that we were going to have this, I felt that, okay, let me just still see what those guys do behind the scene. Okay, let me now ask. Is this now?
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Talk first. Talk.
No, go ahead, sir. What I wanted to say is that your model was, if it was written in Python or R or something, you would need to make it accessible to the farmers or whoever. You could still deploy it to the cloud. Maybe you could use Azure App Service, right? Your developers could package it, create API endpoints that would, for the various predictions, deploy it to App Service. Now, then you would also need mobile developers that would create the interface, right, that the farmers will be able to interact with, and then they'll be able to install the app on their phone. And then when they are using the app in the background, the mobile app will be communicating to your model that has been deployed to Microsoft Azure, maybe in app service, right, and to run the predictions, because the predictions will not be run on the farmer's phones. I don't know if you understand me, sir.
Yes, I get. It has to be back end. They will just be seeing the output.
Yes, sir. They will just be seeing the output. All that is abstracted from them.
Okay. So I was going to say the last thing, but it's going to be second to the last. Second to the last is that it will be a question. So how is this related to like WordPress, for instance? When I was trying to compare this to website development, I know of WordPress. So how can we relate what we have done to that?
If you already have your site built on WordPress, you can also host it in Microsoft Azure, because you're going to also need somewhere to host it, right? I don't really know much about WordPress, but because I typically don't do web development. It's just like a bit of extra knowledge that I have. But you can also deploy your WordPress applications to Microsoft Azure. In fact, you can deploy it to App Service. I know that there's something called WordPress app Service for WordPress in Microsoft Azure.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, then on a final note, Nunsi,
yes, sir.
We can't just have this and then you guys remain virtual to us. Maybe I just have to have a contact of Victor and then see over time how I can receive advice and progress on some of the project that we are doing. Nunsi, how do you go about this? It's just on Microsoft team. I'm seeing you guys.
Okay,
You should
sir.
talk.
I can share my contacts with you. You can follow me on
Okay,
LinkedIn, on my Twitter. I post basically
I'll
everything
like
I'm going to do on it.
It's
I'll reach out to
I
be
really
able to
appreciate
reach
that.
out to
Hello.
you.
Hello.
Yes, you can hear you.
I won't mind following you on your social media handles. I think
Exactly.
it's a nice place to network also.
Thank you
That's
so
nice.
much. I'll share them.
that
I'm
up
trying
for
to
you.
share them now for I and Mr. Victor.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, Mr.
Nunsi, I
Victor
guess
is
over to
waiting
you.
for his. Thank you. Please, like, if you can find
Okay.
yours too and drop it in the Q&A session, that'll be fine.
Okay, I will try to do that.
Okay. So for the Azure vouchers, how we are going to do it. So basically, I need you to to claim your voucher. You basically need to send me an email. You just need to send hi and your first name. Then just tell me you attended my event and I would send the voucher to you. So that's basically how it's going to work because I already have them ready. So I'll so that you can activate them and all that. You can start practicing Azure as well. So Microsoft Learn is a very good platform for you to practice your Azure. There are many learning paths for beginners. So I can also share like different learning paths in the follow-up email I'm going to send. Then there are also a lot of YouTube playlists. So if you are more of a video person, you can bank on YouTube playlists and you will learn Azure. Then you can also explore Udemy. But I guess for Udemy, you need to pay, but there are really good courses on Udemy as well. So please, is that fine?
We don't have your email address.
So how do
Yes,
we get
yes, I'll
across
share
to you
that
that we
with
attended? Okay, is it
Okay,
on the chat on Q&A?
okay. I'll send my email right now. So my email is nunsi.shaki@student
How do you spell the Shiaki?
ambassador.
Please, can you just type it on the group?
Yes, yes, yes. I'm typing it now. You see it in the Q&A now, and I'll also type it. I'll also send it to the groups that I. So that's my email address basically. So just email me and I'll text you your voucher codes. I'll reply you with your
Where have you
voucher
dropped it?
codes.
Where have you dropped it? I haven't seen it. Yeah, where
Okay,
do you
let
drop it?
me.
Why don't you use the
Thank
chat?
you, Diamond.
Nunsi, can you call
Okay,
it
it's on
out?
the
Let me
chat
just
now.
share my screen so that I will, so that all the links and everything will be visible.
Okay,
Is
no
this your email?
problem.
I don't know if you can see my screen.
Not yet.
Hello?
Okay.
Sorry, please concerning
There's no
the
S in students, just students, ambassadors.
Okay,
Ambassadors have the
Nunsi.Shiaki
S.
as student ambassador.
Yes,
Student,
there's no S in students. Yes, like
student
that.
don't student ambassador.
Studentambassadors.com. Please, and that
And that's
Shaki
all.
is not spelled correctly. It's I
Shiaki.
before
Sorry.
E.
It's I
No
before A, yeah,
problem.
sorry.
Yeah, no.
Student ambassador.
Yes,
I'm
thank you.
connected
That's it.
online on my system. As soon as I did that, it just brought you out on LinkedIn, on Instagram, and that was why I knew that the Shiaki I wrote initially was wrong. I already picked that there has to be an idea.
Okay, okay, no problem. Thank you. Godson, I think
Yeah,
Godson
so
wanted to say something. Godson, yes.
okay.
hello. Good evening, everyone. So, concerning the Azure voucher, that's just my question. Like, how can we get or participate or get it?
Okay, that's why I'm sharing my email. I said just message me and I will message me, so rather send me an email like just hi, my name is like I need your first name, very important. Then I attended your MLSA event, your event, and I'll text you your voucher. That's how it's going to work. So this is my student ambassador's email. Just email me a very short email, no much explanation. Okay, I
Okay,
think
ma, thank you.
Silver Moon has a question. Hello, Silver Moon. Hello, Silver Moon. Okay, I don't think Silver Moon has a question. So if you have my number so on WhatsApp, you can message me and I'll email you your voucher as well, or send me an email, which is
We don't have
preferable.
you to, I'm not going to share it with us here.
Sir?
We don't have it. I don't have your number. Except, okay,
Yes,
maybe
yes,
I can ask
yes.
from favor.
Or you can ask me on my email. I'll send you my phone number. I'm actually like going
Yes,
to make this video
just I
public,
don't
so
want
I
to.
don't ask for my phone
I
number in it.
want to lose. I did not want to run the chance of making a mistake with email. So nunsi.shiaki@studentambassador.com, is that?
Yes, that's it.
Student, the student is singular.
Yes, the ambassadors plural.
Oh, the ambassador is plural, ambassadors.
Yes, ambassadors.
You see, I missed that already. Hey, and it will never
I'm so sorry.
drop.
I'll email everybody that for
Don't,
everybody that
don't worry.
registered.
If
I'll
my
also
mail
email
does
you
not
with
drop,
my email.
I'm already seeing you on LinkedIn. If my mail does not drop, I'll come and private chat you in LinkedIn. I'm not
Okay,
missing
no
this
problem,
opportunity.
sir. Yes, sir.
It's okay. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so we have come to the end of our event. Mr. Victor, thank you so much for tonight. I learned a lot. I'm sure all the other 30 plus people that joined also learned a lot. Thank you, sir. Yes.
Thanks a lot.
As well,
Thanks for
it's
the
a very
opportunity.
good skill to learn.
Thank you very
We're
much.
listening to you. Okay. Silver Moon, yes, you can speak, please.
Actually, I joined the meeting quite late, so I don't know if there's like some documents that can be sent. I was hearing you guys talk about it, so I'm not. I don't know if you can help me with some documents.
Some documents of what?
Like what this meeting is about. I just joined like around 13 minutes or thereabout ago, so I was late to the meeting. So I basically gained almost nothing from the open meeting today. So I don't know if there's like a document that can assist with that.
Okay. Actually, your recording will be available. I don't know if I could maybe get your email because most likely, like you just saw the call link and you were not registered.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't remember what I actually registered, but they just sent an email, so I'm just saying that I claimed it, link in the email, and I joined.
Okay, you got it in your email. Okay, that
Yep.
means you registered.
Yes.
Yes, I'll definitely reach out to you. Like, just give me a reply, please, in that email. Like, you see my email there. Just reply and tell me you attended, and I'll give you your voucher.
Okay. Thank you.